Alright, so in this video I'm going to walk you through the process of generating or creating clothes and assets for this character, sending them to character creator, and then coming back into ZBrush if you want to see the pose. It's pretty straightforward, and if you're familiar with the process of extracting meshes and retopologizing meshes within ZBrush, it's pretty fast process as well, pretty straightforward. So I'm going to show you that I have character creator here open as well, and I set this character back to the pose. If you remember from the previous video, we had it in this pose. So all I did was just drag a T-pose by default that I have saved. And this is the T-pose that I'm going to use. And it should be fairly similar to what I have here in ZBrush. Alright, so the process of creating assets for this character could vary. And you can use any process that you're familiar in ZBrush. And that's kind of like another great thing about this workflow, that is not constrained to the topology that came from character creator, because this is going to be a new asset. So it's going to be interpreted by character creator as a new piece or as a new asset, so it doesn't have to have the same topology. So let's say that I want to create a hat for this character. I'm just going to do a silly quick asset for this guy. So I'm going to click append here, and I'm going to bring in a cylinder. The character creator scale is quite big compared to the one in ZBrush, so I'm just going to move back, and you'll see here is the cylinder, quite tiny. But doesn't matter. I'm just gonna bring in the Gizmo 3D and scale that up, and I just push that up as well. Just gonna scale that and maybe just rotate it a little bit. So I'm just gonna set this cylinder here as a hat. Nothing too special. So what I'll do is speed up this process so that I can show you how to very quickly create an asset or a hat in this case, and then we'll resume the video when I create the rest of the assets. So I'm going to speed this up. Alright, so here we have this quick hat that I made in ZBrush, and as you can see is a completely separate object here in the subtool list. So I'm just going to quickly rename this as hat. You can give it any name, it doesn't matter. So that's one of the process, or one of the methods that you can create new assets or new geometry here in ZBrush. The other one that is probably more familiar to you if you have ever done any type of clothes or something that is more close to the actual base geometry is the extract method. So I'm going to select the base mesh, and remember I have already 5 subdivision levels with a fairly polished state of this character, and I'm going to create something like, for example, some pants for this character. So the way that it works is also pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'm just going to show you the steps, and then I'm going to speed up the process while I tweak these pants. So to do that, I'm just going to select the mask lasso, holding control in ZBrush, and I'm just gonna mask the areas. I'm gonna make him, maybe give him some shorts, right? Something like that. I'm just gonna invert the mask, and I'm gonna refine this a tiny bit more. All right, and the idea is that the area that I have masked, so in this case the darker area, is going to become a new asset, or is gonna become a new piece of geometry. All right, so now that I have this selected or masked, I'm going to go down to the extract subpalette here under the subtool list, and I just want to tweak a couple of things. So I'm going to make sure that the thickness is set to 0 so that we don't have any thickness, and that is just a way that character creator works a little bit better if you don't have thickness in the meshes. So in terms of the deformation, it's going to be better, especially for clothes. So I'm just going to make sure that the thickness is set to 0. I'm going to click extract. And now we have this preview. At this point, it's not actually mesh, it's just a preview, and you can see these kind of like weird artifacts. That just means that we have created a mesh that is sitting exactly at the same position as the base mesh or the body. So I'm going to click accept here, and now we have a separate mesh, or a separate separate piece here. You see this extract. I'm just going to click on the extract and put it down below the hat. Select the body, go into solo mode, and I'm going to clear the mask since we don't need that mask anymore. and then go back to the extract version, get out of solo mode, and also I'm going to get rid of the mask as well. And what I can do is just do a tiny inflate of this so that it's not right next to the body of the character. So I'm going to do an inflate more than that. Alright, so we have some shorts that obviously, you know, keep all this information from the body. So if we wanted to add some wrinkles and make it a little bit more loose, that's kind of like the next step once we do the retopology. Alright, so I'm gonna go into the polyframe, right, so that you can see this carried the topology of the original mesh, but because we did kind of like a random cut here with the mask, it's a little bit different, but it's that's a very easy process to fix. And this is, again, you can do manual retopology, you can do semi-manual retopology, you can use the ZBrush. So in this case, again, I'm gonna speed up the process of this. I'm gonna retopologize this really quickly, and so that I can generate a better topology for the pans and then tweak them a little bit. So I'm gonna speed this up and I'll be back in just a second. Alright, and now we have the pans ready. I mean, it's just a quick mockup. I would probably spend way more time to detailing and fixing these pans, but we have a decent topology. If I lower the subdivision level, we have a very decent topology done with the ZBrush here in ZBrush. I went ahead and subdivided these 4 times, so we have 4 subdivision levels, and with just a couple of brushes I created these quick wrinkles. In fact, I'm just gonna push this forward a tiny bit more with the move brush, and as you can see, we also have you know, asymmetry in this case, so the details are not symmetrical. But we have a decent base mesh that, you know, for the pans, and we have some subdivisions with details already. So you could say that at this point we have these 2 meshes, the body and the pans, at the same level of polish, although I know that this doesn't look great, but it's just to give you an indication of what you can do. Same as the hat, so I'm going to select the hat as well. And I'm going to, right now I have 2 subdivision levels, I'm probably going to give it a couple more just to smooth it out. So we have 4 and 4, so 4 subdivision levels for the hat and 4 for the pants. Alright, so let's go back to the subtools, and here we have the hat and the extract. I'm just going to rename these pants. It's always good to keep everything organized, especially when you move back and forth between Character Creator and ZBrush. Alright, so now that I have these ready to go, I have 2 new meshes, one that was created using appending polygon and appending a primitive object and tweaking that within the tool that we're working on, as well as pants that we created using the extract method. So any other type of cloth, like you know, gloves, jackets, t-shirt, other pants, even boots and that sort of thing, I would approach it in the same way that I did the pants. Anything else that is kind of like an extra accessory, let's say you know, beard or a necklace, or even the boots as well, you could potentially do them with this other method. But I just wanted to show you a couple of the things, or a couple of the methods that you can use in ZBrush. Alright, so now that we have these in here, we can go ahead and send them back to Character Creator and test them out with a different pose and keep working on this character. So this is a character that I did. It's going to end up being a fisherman. Right now it doesn't look as a fisherman at all, because these are not the type of clothes that I would use for the fisherman. But it's just a demonstration of how quickly you can fine-tune and prototype something between ZBrush and Character Creator. So I'm going to click on All, and remember this is the button that will take all of the subtools and send them to Character Creator, plus the new meshes. So let's click on All, and here we have Character Creator, right? And we have the T-pose of this character, and in the pop-up you'll notice we have 2 new meshes, right? So right now we have the hat and the pants, plus the ones that come from the base mesh of the Character Creator. So we want to update all of these ones, and we also want to create clothes for the hat and the pants. The hat actually could be set as an accessory. So this ACC means accessory, because to be honest, that it's kind of like a hard hat, and it won't have too much deformation. But let's just leave it as close for the time being, and if it doesn't work the way that we'd expected, we can just change it to a to accessory. So the main difference between close and accessory is that the close is going to be close to the base mesh itself, so it can deform with the rig that it comes with Character Creator, whereas something like an accessory, like the hat, like I said, is just going to be parent to one of the joints. So again, make sure that the adjust bone to fit morph is enabled. We're going to update the mesh, and I think we are ready to go. So let's click update, and here we go. Now we have these two assets, and of course we don't have any textures for it because we just created the mesh in ZBrush, but it is working fairly nice. So we have the pants and we have the hat. So let's just do a quick test and see if this is conforming properly to the geometry, and if not, I'll show you how you can tweak it. So let's go to the content as well, and I'm going to click on the big body. This is the one that I've been using as a reference for the pose, and just like that, we have a new pose with the asset that we created in ZBrush, perfectly tweaked and perfectly following the pose inside Character Creator. So as you can see, this is very quick, and prototyping wise is very easy to switch between one and the other. So now that we have these two assets, we can test a couple of different poses just to check that they're conforming nicely. This is the other one that we tweaked before, right? So this is just to show that it's very quickly. So these are custom poses, but you also have templates. For example, male poses. We can open this up and just check a couple of these ones. For example, this sitting pose. Right. So we have some intersection here of the meshes. By the way, if you have a single-sided polygon, like in this case the pants, and you cannot see obviously the other side of the mesh, you can just select it, click on that. And you can go to the texture tab here and scroll to the bottom where it says two-sided. Click on that, and now you can see both sides of the polygons. Now this one is obviously, not great in terms of the pose because we have some intersection here, but this is all part of the next stage, which would be to tweak the pose once you find the right pose. So again, it's very easy. We just go back to edit pose, select that hand, and then just shift it up a little bit. Right, and that should be okay. Maybe we can change the head as well. Look at the other side. And if we like this pose better, at least for this character, we can just simply go to our custom set of poses, click new, and it would be saved. So very easily, very quickly, you can customize a series of poses and tweak and test the different assets that you create in ZBrush with Character Creator. Now, let's say that in this pose, I'm just going to leave it as it is. I'm not going to touch anything. I'm going to go back to ZBrush, and I'm just going to create, let's just do something quickly, like a bracelet here. So I'm going to select the body. I'm going to go to the high subdivision level, right? And without symmetry, we can do 2, I guess. Yeah, let's do 2. So on both sides, I'm just going to mask something like this. Double check everything's working fine. I'm gonna go ahead and extract that again, add 0 thickness, click accept, and now we have a couple of bracelets. I'm gonna put them down below the pants. Again, I'm gonna repeat the process of clearing the mask on my body and then clearing the mask here in the new bracelets. Alright, so now we have these two. I'm gonna go ahead and inflate them a little bit again so that you can see they're not intersecting the original geometry. Right, and of course we have to fix the topology. So I'm just gonna run a couple of the zero measure a couple of times with half selected. Shouldn't take too long. Also, I'm gonna enable polyframe so you see what's happening. Basically, reducing, doing a retopology of this and reducing the poly count. All right, so I think maybe one more even. All right, so we have now bracelets. Again, I'm not gonna go into details with this one. I just want to show you that even at this stage, we can keep going and keep adding stuff using ZBrush as our master file in a way, and then sending things to Character Creator to test and prototype. Okay, so let's turn this off, and now we have this new mesh. I'm gonna call it wristbands. Okay, and what I want to do now is, instead of using, this is just to show you another part or another way to work in this process. Instead of clicking all to send everything back to character creator, because we just did that and everything is in here, I only want to send the wristbands to update that file. So I'm going to select the wristbands and I'm going to click Go See. So if I click on Go See, ZBrush is going to send only the selected subtool, not everything. Right? So remember these two buttons here. All sends everything. Go See only sends the one that you have selected. So I'm going to click Go See and go back to character creator, and as you can see we only have one wristband. So I'm going to click leave it as close and update, and now we have the wristbands already in the pose here in character creator, working really nice. So as you can see, this is a pretty exciting kind of like a workflow, very easily to tweak and prototype different poses, different assets in your character. So you can be you can create your the pose that you want. So just for the sake of demonstration, just because it's very easily, I'm going to show you a different pose. Let's go for this kind of like a hero, floating hero, or even this one, so another like a hero type of pose, right? Let's say that this is your pose for the final character. You quite like the look of it, and you want to start testing how the rest of the assets work in combination. What's great about this is that you can, like I said, use ZBrush as your master file, create everything with symmetry if you wanted to in a T-pose or anything like that, and then switch to character creator to see how those assets work and the final pose of this character. So that is in a way how you can switch between one and the other, between ZBrush and character creator to prototype your character. So the next thing that I want to show you is that you can actually edit the facial pose or the expression of the character directly here from character creator. That's just another great thing that you can do at this point of the process. So I'm going to click on edit facial expression, and I already showed you in the previous video how to tweak or how to change, let's say, make it an open mouth, right? So you can also have a series of expressions predetermined or already created with character creators. Here at the top you have the expressions. So if you wanted to, you can just click on happy, and now we have a character that is happy, or something more like that. Let's go for angry. So you have this drop down here at the top where you can change the type of expression. So we can create something more like that. I think this one is more interesting and suits the character. But of course, you can go back to the muzzle or even in the modify tab. And in the same way that we had the sliders that I showed you before for the body, you can have these sliders here for the expression. So let's say we select the eyebrows. Again, very intuitive icons here at the top. We can take this eyebrow and we have the sliders that we can tweak to raise the eyebrow or or make it look more angry. There's one thing here, this eye is kind of like a little bit too crazy. So if you want to make this eyelid go down a little bit so that it's not as extreme as it is right now, let's select the eyes, and it would be the left eyelid. Here we go. So is the eye blink left, L for left. So we can do something like this, or change anything that we want. We can make it squint to increase the expression or the intensity of the expression. And also there's a couple of things here with the mouth that I don't like. So just select the mouth, and again you can play around with all of these expressions, all these sliders to generate the expression that you want. Another great thing about this is you can reduce the total expressiveness. It's kind of like an opacity of the entire set of sliders. So I can here with this one with expressiveness, I can just click on this one and reduce it a tiny bit, or I can just leave it like this, right? And this area that is kind of like a bit broken because I've gone too extreme with the pose. This is something that I can tweak in ZBrush and then send it back to character creator to update. So let's just do that to show you how you can do that. So again, make sure that you select everything from the scene tab, and I'm going to click on Go Z, and I'm going to relink everything. Okay. Now at this point, I want to work on the pose, right? So I don't want to have the T pose. So I make sure that this use current pose is selected. So I'm going to have exactly what I have here, but in ZBrush. All right. So I'm going to click Go Z, and Character Creator is going through the process of sending all of those details and all of those assets that we tweaked in Character Creator into ZBrush, and now we have the pose with all the assets. So pretty cool. And now we can just select the base mesh or the body, and of course we don't have symmetry anymore, or we cannot work with symmetry. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tweak and fix this pose. I'm gonna turn on polyframe so you can see it's being a little bit stretched. So I'm gonna go ahead and tweak this in a quick time lapse, and just to show you that this can be done fairly quickly in ZBrush. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Alright, so that was just a very quick fix of the face expression with just the move brush, moving the polygons around again without affecting the topology from Character Creator. So now that I have this in here, let's say that I'm quite happy with this pose. I can go all high in ZBrush so that I can test the entire pose as well with all the meshes. So I can see here at the top as well of the hat there is some intersection. So I'm going to select the hat, going to the lowest subdivision level, and with the move brush again, that's kind of like what the default workflow is at this point. I would use the move brush to just do very subtle nudges to refine the pose here, or at least the position of the assets at this low subdivision level. Once I'm happy with the final pose and I have everything else, let's say that I have more like a jacket and a bunch of other assets for this character, in that case I would go into a bit more detail and do the pose a little bit more thoroughly. But this is a fairly interesting pose with a nice expression here for this character. Of course, in ZBrush we can exaggerate it even more. We can select the body, go into the lowest subdivision level, push that one up. So now it's kind of like angry, but a bit, like if he's done something bad or he doesn't care. Alright, so now we have this fairly decent pose and the expression as well. So I'm quite happy with this. If I want to, I can just save this as a ZBrush file or as a ZBrush tool, and then later on I can come back and keep tweaking it. But I'm quite happy with this. Obviously, there is much more things that we can do with this, in terms of refining the pose and the effect of the anatomy in this pose. Because right now all we have done is pose it, but we have to compensate with the deformation of certain muscles that are not flexed or relaxed in the same pose as if it was in a T-pose. Alright, so in the next video I'm going to show you the final set of assets that I created in ZBrush and that I tested with Character Creator to get to the final stage of my character, which is a fisherman.